This is the MCCU Show podcast.
Home to banger Christian conversations.
And definitely good vibes.
It's home away from home.
Previously on the MCCU Show podcast.
I think we should distinguish between friends who are actually friends and who are acquaintances.
You don't have to be friends with everyone. You can as well be acquaintances, you know? You have to identify the positions the positions that people hold in your life. There was this famous meme that know your position in people's lives, which is very important. You should know your position in people's lives.
The logistics of cutting off people are super complicated.
Mkisema ati we need to define our friendship. So for example, my friendship and yours, sorry to say, it is not defined. Like, there is no day we have sat down and been like, okay, Bichii, me and you we are friends. Ndio, ama nyinyi mnataka kudefine aje those friendships?
A friendship is defined by each and everyday action. I can't constrict it to like having a simple conversation and you're like, so you know what, Becky, me and you are friends, and there is nothing beyond that, you know? I feel like it is gravitating towards a friendship is defined each and every day.
I think, to be fair, this is not what we discussed in the men's conference. I might be friends with Ruth, for example, right now, and Ruth tushaika chini tukasema hii friendship yetu ni ina hii. But if we do that, we have never had that conversation. But even if we have that conversation, you're like, okay, we are just friends. But what will happen if, later on, I start developing some feelings? I think the good thing is I should come and tell you. Then, now what if I want to fight for our love? But basically, communicate. Like, you define, I agree with what Bichii is saying, you define it every day. So it might start as a normal friendship. Actually, sasa mnaona hapa tunaingia kwa relationships na hatutaki. Wengine hapa tumepitia mengi hii Kairu. But basically, the relationships which started as normal friendships, and honestly, both parties had no intentions of ever getting into a relationship. But things happen, after a while. Communicate. We have to agree we are human beings at the end of the day. We are Christians, yes, but we are human beings. We have feelings. So, keep it in the open. If you ever decide to go that direction, make your intentions very clear. Have a chaperone. By the way, have a chaperone. Make intentions very clear. And pray about it, of course. Yeah.
And there's something that you've actually hinted on, Karega. We'll be talking about defining these particular friendships. Now, what will happen, and this was what Ruth was hinting earlier, like now, let's now take it to the context of main campus Christian Union. Yeah? Ruth and I, we became friends. We are good friends. And then there was a day when we had that particular situation that I just shared, that labda siku moja our relationship turns into something. Now, how are we gonna have that conversation and keep it subtle between us and not affect our relationship with MCCU and our relationship with God? Because being in groups like this, when a friendship is compromised, I feel like it affects a part of that particular common thing that you guys had. Like, for example, you were in MCC, you guys were friends, but now the friendship went and then it became something else, but none of you, maybe one of you was not ready, so you feel, me, by the way, tumemalizana, Ruth, who does she think she is, and it creates some bit of bad blood. So how do you handle that particular situation? Ruth, tuanze na wewe, because we are examples in this. But not true examples, guys. No, this is not tea. This is just an example. This is not tea. This is an example. Ruth, what do you think about that?
Okay. I know you've seen not true examples, but hey, we are human beings, and actually, such a thing has happened to me before, and but I was just listening to what Karega said when we were starting, that a friendship doesn't have to end in a messy way. As in isiishe vibaya. So I feel like mkifika that point where you want to define your friendship, alafu you find that the other party does not want to cross the bridge. Mmefika kwa bridge, but the other party does not want to cross the bridge, and then now it creates a strain. Of course it will create a strain. So I feel there's not much you can do. Just don't as in there's not much you can do kwa the other side. If the other side just wants to cut off ume hint about the relationship stuff has been hinted, alafu anataka ku cut off, the least or the most you can do is just try to communicate. Na if it has to end, let it end vizuri, like let it end amicably. Isi end ni kama sasa mmekuwa enemies. I remember I was reading something. I don't really remember the name, but there's actually a medical term, or I don't know, a term where at one point you loved someone so much and then now you hate someone so much. Like isifike hapo, just communicate. Just tell this person, okay, imefika hapa, so what's next? Like what's next after this? Should we, like, nini na to benefit sisi wote wawili? Like, if we uangalie logistics moving forward, how are we going to where English, how are we going to keep on being friends? Ukiona hapo mbele kuko na landslide or kuko na iceberg, let the Titanic not fall, and then in two different ways. Just move another path. It's not bad to end the friendship, but mkiona you can keep on being friends. Just keep on being friends. But me, I would really advocate for talking it out. Just try to be. I'm not going to say mature, because I'm not one person who likes talking, but just try to sit down and talk things out. Hata kama ni kwa WhatsApp, just texting. You don't have to look at a person face to face. Just find a way of communicating. Alafu mkisha communicate, mwone how you're going to go afterwards. You think as logic humans, as primates, without feelings involved. Though it's hard not to involve those feelings, but yeah, communicate.
Sensei Ruth! Yeah, I totally agree with you. Becky, do you want to add something before we close that chapter?
Hey, I think I have a right to remain silent. Mimi, apana. Jahil.
But yeah, it's actually really hard when you're in that particular situation. But I feel it also boils down to you as a human being. I mean, are you going to allow like your small disagreement just end in a very messy way? As Karega said, like not all friendships should end in a messy way. Actually, I believe that not all, like any type of relationship should not be messy at the end. You guys should just know that, okay, this is what has happened, and I feel like we should be grown-ups about it and just move on. It's a growth process, because holding grudges like we are like in class 5 or middle school, it's silly. It's so silly, and it just shows how immature that someone is. But once you're able to like communicate and talk through it, that will actually help you guys, which informs our next discussion. Qualities of like good friendships. qualities of good friendships. I want you guys to tell me one of your best qualities, like that you would consider to have in a friendship, like in a friendship between two people. What would you consider something that is so important between friendships? I'm gonna start with Karega. Yeah? Scarred.
So, what I would consider very important. Number one is love. You see, and of course it's the godly love. It's called Bichii. Munasomanga iko best.
Agape.
Agape. Yes. Na kuna a friendship love by the characterizations. Unajua kuna agape, kuna filio. Filio ndio romantic ama ndio ya family. Na kuna Bichii Sushine. So when the Bible study coordinator. The train. Okay. So yeah, let me start again. I think one of the things that I consider very important in a friendship, of course, it is love. And love, of course, is not just one thing. If you notice, the fruit of the Holy Spirit is love. Then it is expressed in different ways. If you guys did not know, I don't know, I hope I'm not being controversial. Okay, this is not controversy, but kwa Bible, haijaandikwa fruits of the Holy Spirit. Inakwanga fruits of the Holy Spirit is love. Then that love is expressed in joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, humility, and self-control. That is love. So those things have to be there. Is this person patient with me? When I'm with them, do I have joy? You see? Can I be able to have, self-control inaweza kuwa tricky, but yeah, can I, when they're doing something, they have self-control and all that. And let me borrow again now from 1 Corinthians 13. And I think this explains it very well. You see, that love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself. It is not puffed up. It does not behave rudely. Does not seek its own. Is not provoked. It thinks no evil. It does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Sasa hapa sijui kama ni fairy tale, but me Bible imesema love never fails. Yeah, that's the kind of friendship I'll do. I know I'm that kind of hopeless romantic person and all that, but
Alejandro.
I believe it never fails. Yeah, like my biggest foundation of a friendship is love, basically, and of course, as you have seen, the different manifestations of that love. Yeah, and I think sometimes it becomes really hard, especially when it's one-sided. But I think, of course, when you pray about it, God will lead you to the right friends. And of course, I remembered something just as we had started. In Psalms 1, it says, "Blessed is he who walks not in the counsel of the wicked, nor sits in the seat of scoffers, but his delight is in the law of the Lord." So even our friends should lead us closer to God. I believe if your friend is not someone who's leading you closer to God, if they are part of those people in the seat of scoffers or the counsel of the wicked, then they don't deserve to be your friends. Even Jesus, there's a point. I'm sorry, Becky, for bringing you in every time. There's a place Jesus says, "I now call you friends." If you could go with me to John 15 from verse 9, maybe we can start from verse 9, and it connects to my point when I was saying all friendship is the foundation is love. And you'll see when the foundation of Jesus calling his disciples friends was stemmed from love. So from John 15 from verse 9, it says, "As the Father loved me, I also have loved you. Abide in my love. if you keep my commandments, you'll abide in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. These things I have spoken to you, that my joy may remain in you and that your joy may be full. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, than to lay down one's life for his friends. And this is the amazing part. You are my friends if you do whatever I command you. No longer do I call you servants, for a servant does not know what his master is doing. But I have called you friends, for all things that I've heard from my Father I have made known to you. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you, that you should go and bear fruit, that your fruit shall be, that whatever you ask, that your fruit should remain, that whatever you ask the Father in my name, he may give you. Thanks be to God. So Jesus, his basis of us calling us friends is love. That he loved us, and he has loved us just as the Father loved him. And that if we keep his commandments and we abide in his love, he'll abide in us. And he calls us friends. And verse 14 inasema, you're my friends if you do whatever I command you. And how did Jesus sum up the 10 commandments? Love. Ukiangalia 10 commandments basically zinakwanga love. Unaweza separate into two things, love to God and love to your neighbor. So the whole law is summarized up into love. So love, of course, should be the greatest foundation. Even the greatest friendship that we have with our Lord Jesus Christ is made up of love. That he loved us and he came and died for us. So even our own friendship should be composed of love. And that is godly love. And if it is not, and it is love which is stemming up from obeying the commandments. So if your friends do not have that love for God, they can't say they love you if they don't love God. They can't say they don't keep God's laws. They don't. Of course, nobody is perfect, but you can't be unequally yoked. That is now in 2 Corinthians, because you don't want to go be friends with everybody. Of course, you're not enemies, but that deep affection and intimacy and relationship that you have with someone, that bond that we call friendship, of course, there are limitations to it. And 2 Corinthians 6, 14 says that do not be unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship has righteousness with lawlessness? And what communion has light with darkness? And what accord has Christ with Belial? Or what part has a believer with an unbeliever? And what agreement has the temple of God with idols? For you are the temple of the living God. As God has said, I will dwell in them and I will walk among them. I will be their God and they shall be my people. So of course we also keep our fellowships with people that are screaming of the love of God. Again now, so that I don't speak so much, just to throw a food for thought question. You might be very interested in being friends with someone who's an unbeliever, and you might think that maybe I might be the one to change them. What do you think about that? Should you continue pursuing that friendship? And when you keep saying, maybe I'll preach to them and they'll get born again, but I still want to continue being friends with them. How do you approach such a situation?
Hey, Karega, the hopeless romantic. What a beautiful insight of love. I really love that particular insight. And I've actually drawn one of my greatest qualities of friendship from the verse that you just read from the book of John, chapter 15, verse 13, that greater love has no man than this, that a man laid down his life for his friends, which speaks about sacrifice. Like, a friendship cannot grow without both parties sacrificing, to actually build the friendship, Friendship it's not magical. It's not that it is just going to work just because you guys are hanging out and whatnot. You guys have to be intentional about your friendships, which we've been talking about here. You need to be able to sacrifice for your friends. You need to be able to work towards your friendship, communicate, hang out, create friend anniversaries, as Becky was saying, create these special moments. And that's how a friendship will grow. Otherwise, when you don't communicate, where ukiwa nyoks, you're not ready to sacrifice for your friends, then that's not gonna happen. That's never gonna happen. And I love how you ended with telling us about like being friends with an unbeliever, and do you think that it's your place to change them and whatnot? Personally, I feel like being friends with an unbeliever, you guys obviously share some qualities together. You share, maybe you love maybe the same things and whatnot. And I feel like your position in that part is just to let them express themselves in a way that will not come out like you are forcing your faith down their throats. You see, you're free to tell them like, hello, unajua nini, Karega, I'd like to tell you something about Jesus. I'd like to tell you something about God. Once you tell them, it is their decision to come to the faith, to actually believe the faith. But I feel like your position to just like push that faith, or like you like pushing down their throat, it's not gonna work well, and it's not healthy for your relationship as friends, because I feel like that is where respect comes in. We all respect each other's beliefs, but we share in the same thought. We are like, okay, I'm gonna tell you this, I'm gonna do my part, and I'm gonna tell you about this good news that I've found peace in, and it's gonna be your choice to actually like to believe in it or do whatever you want with it. But it is, I've found peace by telling you, you know, and that should not be like something that will create a barrier in your friendship, you know, because I feel like sometimes a lot of Christians, so to say, and I've witnessed this firsthand, don't become friends with non-believers or break friendships with non-believers just because the non-believer did not accept to get saved. You know, it's not it is not in your place to make that judgment and okay, you know what, just because you have refused at this time, we are done. We can't be friends. We can't be friends if you do this and that. We can't be friends if you do this and that. I feel like that is creating, that will never help this person, because this person will associate that, okay, you're basing our friendship on the fact that I believe on this particular like thing. You know, you're not, you can't make that decision. That's really hurtful, and that's propagating a different kind of agenda that is not of Christ. Literally, that you're breaking a friendship just because I don't believe in your faith. You told me? Have you given me time? Because everybody is going on different journeys, and you can't expect that everybody will go in the same journey as you've gone through. And understanding that will actually help your friendship. You know, I'm in a friendship with an unbeliever, and every day I try to tell them about Jesus, and they're actually receptive. You know, they are doing their own research. They want to go and learn more, and I'm at peace with that, because even though he's not there yet, I feel like he's developing interest. You know, and I'm happy about that, because he will now be able to find the peace by himself and actually believe, having a strong foundation and knowing the truth on his own terms, and not me shoving down his throat, you know, because that can have a negative effect to our friendship. And that has not affected our friendship, because I've known my place to not like impose a lot on whatever I believe in, because I believe we are different people and we take things differently. So, Ruth, what do you think about that? What's your input on that?
I feel like we are spilling into evangelism, and my mind just went to this one time. We were having evangelism week. We were ushering in the evangelism week at MCCU, and I remember during our ICT meeting, Dingo said something that the reason as to why we find ourselves not being able to lead people to Christ is because our lives are not a testimony. Like, it's not just about you doing it, it's about you living it out. So when we talk about us shoving the gospel down our friends' throats, our friends who are not believers, I feel, it's not supposed to be like that. And yes, there's this aspect of you saying that there's this guy Jesus, and there's Christianity, and there's salvation. But I feel you should also just act the Christ-like way, and in one way or another, atakuuliza, okay, yeah, we are friends, but how are you able to do things the way you're doing? And then that will be a good avenue to say, I'm doing things the way I'm doing because, because I'm a Christian, and we are supposed to act like this, and this is just that's the place where you can start talking about the Bible, blah blah blah. So I feel like we should literally act it out. When we are with our friends, I feel like kukotuna venye they'll respect your boundaries. Like, you're in a group of friends, and you start talking about something and it's not good, and they're like, where this one is here, so don't talk about that. In one way or another, you've actually evangelized, and they'll just, it's the Holy Spirit that convicts the heart of men, not us. So we just do our part. We act, what would Jesus have done? We just act the Christ-like way. We act as Christians. We talk to them once in a while, but they actually see us living it out. And then, instead of actually pushing it down their throats, it can really, it can hurt the friendship. Yeah.
And tell us about your biggest principle, your biggest principle of friendship that you feel like a friendship needs.
For me, the biggest principle that I feel a friendship needs is patience. You have to be patient with me. I have to be patient with you. Just the way you had previously said that friendship is actually putting in work. See something, you just throw it out there and you expect it to grow. You actually have to cultivate it. And I'm just making a mental reference to a friendship I have right now that is actually working out very well and blossoming, because we act. And I feel like you have to be patient with the other person. You wait for them to grow. We are not all at the same level when it comes to matters pertaining friendship, like communicating, hanging out, blah blah blah. So you have to be patient with the other person and grow together, so that it's a journey between the two of you. Yeah, so for me, when you're patient with me, I'll definitely be patient with you. Just usiniharakishe, just I'll come to terms. So just be patient with me, and speaking from experience, it works. So yeah, patience.
Asiharakishwe. Hey, Becky, what do you have to say about that?
Guy, Aki Karega, you have finished all the Bible verses. What am I going to say? Let me see. So, I will say that friendship is also about working on yourself, because even the book of Proverbs chapter 18 verse 24 inasema that a man that has friends must himself be friendly, and it continues to say that there's a friend who sticks closer than a brother. But just focusing on the first part of you must yourself be friendly. So I'm just building up on what Kairu said, that the basis of friendship is love, and you're supposed to love one another as you love yourself. So mine will be, you need to love yourself. You need to be comfortable with you, comfortable with yourself, with everything about you. Seek to understand yourself, seek to know your weaknesses, what works for you, what your boundaries are, what you want to be. Improve yourself, have your goals, I don't know. I feel like it's sounding a bit secular, but well, this is important. Love yourself, build yourself, and it's the only way you're going to have healthy friendships with people. Because you can't, I believe you can't be friends with other people when you're not yet your own friend. And then, of course, work on your relationship with God, because God guides us in everything that we do. If you relate with Him well, you spend time with Him in prayer, a lot of things become non-issues. A lot of things you're able to discern them as early as possible, and you're able to even deal with them as Jesus would.
Wow, that's really important actually, Becky. You brought out a very important point on working on yourself even before you get into a friendship, which is actually really important, because a lot of people bring their own issues into a friendship, and then it's I think they expect like it to be magically fixed, and it actually hurts the friendship, because you're now projecting your own issues into the friendship, and the friendship becomes it becomes so toxic. And I think we need to have a topic on loving ourselves and working on ourselves, working on the different traumas that we have been experienced with, and learning to love ourselves. I think that will be a really interesting topic.
Definitely, yeah. We work on, at the same time, when we are having so many expectations on others, I believe we should also work on ourselves. But of course, be patient. It's a journey, it's a process. Don't be too hard on yourself, because sometimes you might be very hard on yourself. Nobody is holding a gun. Even if they're holding a gun to your head and telling you have to work on yourself, like right now, you have to be perfect. You can't move from 0 to 100. It's a journey.
Yeah, it's definitely a journey. And so I think that's a wrap, guys. We've talked about defining our own friendships, especially between a lady and a man. We've talked about the whole concept of friendship and how dynamic it is between different people. We've talked about the boundaries that we set in friendships and how to communicate such boundaries. And we've talked about the principles that actually nurture healthy and long-lasting friendships. And I think we need to hint on the fact that friendships sometimes grow apart. And I feel like that can be a good way to wrap things up as we end today's episode. What do you guys think about the concept of friendships? Like, I don't want to say fading away, but in some way it's like fading away. In the context that you're in right now, we are all university students, and most of our friends stem from the fact that we maybe stay together, we are in class together, we go to fellowship together. That is the basis of our friendship. And so when all this is gone, when we move on, when we graduate and we move on to other things, if we were not very intentional about these friendships, they will fade away, or they will just grow apart. You've had people saying that we've just grown apart and we don't like the same things anymore. What is your take on that? And how should someone take that particular feeling of just growing apart? Should it be like a mutual understanding that, okay, now Becky and Ruth don't like the same things anymore. They don't talk anymore, and that's okay. That's like life. What do you say? I'm gonna start with the hopeless romantic. Karega, how do you face that reality? Because it's actually a reality that is coming.
As I said, love never fails.
Please, love.
It might fade away, but it never fails. Of course, some friendships, it reaches a point they have run their course and it's time to, move our separate ways. But it doesn't mean that it has ended in a way, like we're not friends anymore. The friends were very, very good friends in primary. And I can't say our friendship ended in primary, but they just went our separate ways, went to different high schools, and all that. We may not really be keeping tabs a lot, but we're still friends. If we God willing meet one time, we'll sit down, have a cup of coffee, and talk about the good old times and laugh about it. Yeah, like it's okay when that time comes, but I don't think it has ended. I can't say that it ends, that we're not friends anymore and all that. If life brings us together another time, we'll sit down and talk about the good old days. Yeah.
But Karega, I have a question to ask you. Do you feel like you need to build more memories? Because maybe you've you've not met this guy maybe from primary, that is about 10-15 years ago. You'll be talking about the good old days, blah 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 and all that, and then okay, we're done. So moving forward, what is this relationship? Do you feel like you guys need to reconnect and build more memories, or he's just gonna be a friend from the past who you don't actually talk to that often?
It's not really a friend from the past, because they are still a friend even in the present. It's just that we might not talk a lot, but the thing is, we're getting older. This is now the bad thing about adulting. Not the way you could play with your friends and go back home and the next day you're playing the whole day and all that. There are limitations to that, of course. Time, people get jobs, people are in school, people move out, and it might be hard to reconnect and do all those things, but they have a special place in my heart. So yeah, they're not friends from the past, they're still friends. And of course, if I get any chance to reconnect, and if we can, and reconnecting doesn't mean that you have to meet every week. Even if it just means meet once a year, imagine that's okay. That's okay. Like right now, the friends from high school, I've never met them since we finished physics paper 2. Paper 3, that was the last time I saw them. And I'm really looking forward to the next time I'll see them. I think it's been almost from 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. They're still my friends, but yeah, of course, when you get that chance to meet and talk about everything, and if we can reconnect, why not? Yeah, but they left a mark in my heart. That's so sad.
Hopeless romantic. Oh my God, Karega, I can't believe. Have we just not said that friendships are about being intentional with one another? I'm trying to wrap my head around how you're saying that they're still your friends, but you guys have not talked since 2000 and what was it, 2019. So I'm 2018. Like, okay, 2018. Okay, so you guys are you've not talked since 2018, but you're still calling them your friends. Are they not just acquaintances, as you just said? They're just people who used to know.
You shared a special bond. Like when your friends are not just acquaintances, it's just friends who drifted apart, basically. If there's a way to describe it, friends who drifted apart, but you're not acquaintances. The same pattern, obviously, Bichii. I don't think you'll look at each other as acquaintances. Of course, so when you're on a movie, when you're not friends who drifted apart, then 20 years later, anakuja, anaona, oh, you're married, unaona the kids, and you're so excited, and you start talking about life and everything. Now Becky has a child, and everything. I have children and stuff, and we talk, and we rekindle these memories. And even if we were to start from that point, we wouldn't be starting from square zero. Like, I've met some of my childhood friends recently, and we talked as if we were talking for the last 10 years. We were still in each other's life, yet we were not. Because that friendship bond, if it was real, it was still there. Even if you meet 20 years later to come. Bichii, I remember saying to Patana, 20 years to come, we will be starting from square one, from ground zero.
Not necessarily from ground zero. From my point of view, I'm thinking that, okay, this person has like missed like 20 years of your life, literally. As much as you share this really, really good memories, which I'm like, okay, those I cherish. Those I'm a hopeless romantic. Those I'm like, okay, these are really great memories. But now, moving forward, our friendship has it's definitely gonna take a different dynamic, because right now things are changing, as you rightly said. There's a lot that has changed. I'm not maybe the same person I was 20 years ago, and you're not the same person you were 20 years ago. So our friendship might have different dynamics, and us acknowledging that is very important, because I've met some of my childhood friends and our dynamic has really changed, because I feel like, okay, I've missed like 20 years of 11 years of your life, and you've missed mine, and we've grown into totally different people. But I still acknowledge you as my friend because I still hold on to that memory. But now, us moving forward, we will be more like acquaintances with a friendship past, because I'll just be able to know you. If I don't like relate to who you are right now, to the growth that you have like gone through, if I don't relate to that, and we are not in the same, like, we are not connecting the same frequency as we connected 10 years ago, then I'm gonna respect that, and I'm gonna say, okay, you are still my friend, but more like of an acquaintance, not exactly friend that we can hang out and do all these things, because I've also made other friends. So that is what I'm trying to wrap my head around when you're saying that they're still my friends. We're just gonna hang out, do things, do that. Becky, what do you say?
Love never fails.
Love never. Wow, hopeless romantic. And that's, I love how we're having different perspectives of this based on our personalities. That was really nice. Becky, speak to us with your friendship, and then Ruth.
Kairu has said that Becky will have a child. I don't know if that's a threat or a good thing, but thank you for that. Anyways, about friends, our past friends, and us being intentional. I believe that being intentional, haimanishi to force. Friendship for me is supposed to flow, supposed to be self-sustaining, supposed to be natural. So being intentional is just being in control and not letting I don't know if I am contradicting myself, but yes, being intentional is not forcing. So if at that time, if we meet 20 years later and we talk and we feel like there's a need to create more memories, to be friends again and to hang out and stuff, if we feel it's necessary, then it's okay. If it's not, then pia ni sawa. It's fine, because I believe that friends are people that have been given to us for a season to accomplish God's will. So if the purpose is over, then imeisha tu, ni sawa tu. Yeah.
Wow, Becky, you also need a tissue. Karega is here bawling his eyes out. I feel like you're saying this with a lot of emotions, Becky.
Actually, it's so real, because mwanzo mmesema hivyo nikakumbuka my childhood best friend, and we were so close. Hadi alikata nywele, pia mimi nikakata nywele, and but right now we are friends, but she's not my current best friend. And it's hard to accept that, but ni sawa tu. What can I do?
Hi, Ruth.
I kind of miss my I kind of miss my friends, but yeah. Kuna wengine hata sijawahi waona. I don't know whether they disappeared. Like I don't even know if you'll ever meet again, but it would be so nice meeting them.
Akina mnalia ya ukweli. Ruth, are you crying in silence?
Bichii can't even talk. I'm talking, but I can't. I'm literally holding my tissue. But I don't know. Friendship is something that is, while it lasts, it's something very close. It's something very close to the heart. I feel like, oh God, it's a basic need. Ya mwanadamu. So when it ends, it's actually very, very tough and very painful. Someone like, speaking for myself, there's some friendships that when they break, I'll feel the same thing I feel when someone close to me. When someone close to me is called rest, you see. So like it's actually very, very hurtful, and it really pierces the heart. But I'm reminded of a mentorship session I had yesterday with an associate of ours, and he was telling me about the ideal life and the real life. And like, you just, in as much as the mind wants to really dwell on the ideal life, you have to be prepared for the real life. So the ideal life is that you would want this to last forever, but you have to have shock absorbers. You have to cushion your heart, or else you'll keep on wiping tears after a few years or after a few months. So you really have to be ready for any occurrence, anything that can happen, because who are we kidding? We are humans, and humans go away. My best friend left. My best friend were primary, kama Bichii. She left, and akaenda US, and we had a whole life planned before us, and now she's miles away. And you just have to be ready for such occurrences, for such instances, and you have to lower your expectations. You lower your expectations and be ready for the twists and turns of life. But it's literally sad that we lose friends, we lose people that we have talked to, people who actually know us. We have talked to them about our problems. They've cried with us, they've laughed with us, but it's only for a season. It's hard to see them go, but sometimes they have to go. Yeah.
What? You guys are actually crying, you know? You're making me feel bad. I'm too much of a realist to even cry about this, but I understand where you guys are coming from, and it's actually painful, guys. At least hata mimi nime squeeze in a tear. But being prepared, a lot of people don't get prepared about that, and it's Bichii. Becky is asking me who my friends are. Becky, you know, we have different people and their personalities. Like, for example, I just feel like all of you here are hopeless romantics, especially led by Karega. You express your care and love a lot through emotions. Not saying that I don't do that also, but I feel like I have a barrier in my head and in my heart of things very I have boundaries that are very strong, that I'm able to differentiate between these feelings. And that's why I feel like I've compartmentalized a lot of things in that I'm able to access things at a different at different intervals in my life. So I understand that one day my friends are not gonna be that close to me, and that is, I've made peace with that. And so I'm just enjoying every moment, you know? And maybe someone has not made peace with that, and that's okay, because it's a journey. You don't get there by today or by tomorrow. You get there by experiencing these things and learning through the process and just growing with it, so that when you enter a relationship, you know the risks and you know the happiness that you're going to get out from it, because you can't have your cake and eat it. You just can't have your cake and eat it. So thank you so much, guys.
You can't eat your cake and have it.
And you can't eat your cake and have it. You can't have your
That's
cake.
the correct
Nihivo.
And you can't eat your cake.
You can have your.
You can't have your cake and eat it.
But
Oh my
you can have
God.
your cake and eat it. Like the cake we'll have during the lunch, we can have it and eat it. But you cannot eat it and have it.
You can't have your cake and eat it. I think that's the correct saying. Guys, yeah, you can't have your cake and eat it. Yeah.
No, you can't eat your cake and have it. Come on, Bichii, please.
Guys,
Usijiembarrass.
I'm looking at a dictionary right now. You know, you guys have made me play. You're embarrassing me in front of millions of people online. Aki, seriously, is you can't have your cake and eat it too. Anyways, we're gonna look it up right now after we finish this. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. This has been a lovely discussion. If you have any principles of good friendships that you'd like to share with us, please do on our YouTube comment section. And if you're listening to us on a podcast platform, make sure to follow us on all our social media platforms. That is at MCCUON on Twitter and on Instagram, and on Facebook at MCCU Christians, so that you can engage in the same conversations there. We also have conversations running on our social media platforms. So please do check us out there, and we can continue this conversation, because it doesn't end here. We'd like to hear your stories of how your friendships spanned out. What are some of the boundaries that you set in your friendships that you feel like has helped your friendships grow? Are you dealing with a friendship that you feel like it's toxic? Are you dealing with a friendship that you feel like you need to set a boundary, but you don't know how? Please communicate to us so that we can share these stories and help each other out. Otherwise, thank you so much for tuning in, and that's a wrap. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.